So firstly, websites. I said in the fundamentals that sometimes people just get the website made as like a checkbox of they've done it, cool, that a business needs a website, that's done now, and then just let it sit there. Whereas like it can be quite powerful. You can use it as a lead generator. You can use it as for all your funnels and your landing pages, for all your marketing campaigns. You can send all your leads through that. And I'm gonna show you how we'll give you some best practices for when you're setting that up. And you can also use it just to sell straight from there. So as a lead generator, if you've heard of, say, things like SEO, you can generate organic leads without putting any ad spend, without spending, driving traffic to it. When people type search terms in on Google, you can get your site to show up, and that's just with like things like informational blog posts. This is quite a traditional way of marketing on Google, where it's just, and again, it's organic, so it's not going to be that consistent consistent return. But if you have some eyes on this, and it can slowly accrue over time. So in the next, say, 1, 2, 3 years, just have something going on in the just maybe turn an email into a blog post every now and then. You can find popular search terms related to your product, and then write a blog in response to it. There's certain types of that would be sort of like a value given post. So whenever you search a term, and if you want to find out what people are searching in regards to your business, so like common search terms, there's a site called answerthepublic.com, which will give you, like, if you type in what your niche is, so physiotherapy or property, it'll give you like a bunch of common search terms to be like what are people wanting to find out, and then if you can pick and choose some of them to maybe to answer. I've said keywords there. A keyword, that just basically means a search term someone's putting in Google. So what's the term they're using, and then what are the words in that, and this all comes back to marketing as well. When you're running Google ads, you can make your search results turn up for certain keywords. So if you think about distinguishing the types of keywords, the search intent, what's the sort of the intent of the person searching? If they're searching keywords like what is, how to, is X, Y, Z, they're searching for information. So if you've got a call to action sort of landing page or search result you want to turn up, it's probably best not to go after these keywords, because the person searching isn't going to be in like the buying mindset if they're just looking around. They're after sort of value there, and then you look for the buying mindset of, if someone's searching how much is X, Y, Z, what's the best value, so and so, where's so and so near me, the best company that does X, Y, Z. You want to be going after them. So keeping in mind of having search campaigns for your search intent keywords for maybe your blog posts, and maybe some of your awareness campaigns if you're doing Google ads, and then separate that out for buying intent as well. And then this is just a thing to touch on of how does Google decide who to show, and when someone types in a search result. So why do some results appear at the top or the bottom? There's a couple of reasons. No one knows obviously, apart from Google, the exact way they work it out. But there's a few things that can help you push it up, push your own site up in the ranking. And there's a few search terms you'll never get to be able to get to the top of Google for, just because they're very quite competitive, and there'll be sites that have been in business for decades that are like right at the top. For social media, so for example, if you want to target that keyword and make a blog, you're competing with like Instagram, Facebook, and a couple of other big hitters. So you probably will be able to start ranking somewhere. But one of the strategies I'm going to come to is to how you can start getting organic leads in. It ties into finding obscure keywords where maybe a couple of the heavy hitters that use Google aren't looking at, and you can begin to build your own domain authority from that. So just as an example, when you type into Google, that's known as a keyword. Obviously, Google also is looking at if you've got your website's set up with your location on, how Google actually reads all your websites. It sends these little bots out to crawl, and sort of look at what your business is, what you're doing, where you're based, and sort of it'll piece that together. So when someone types in so and so near me, it's going to be looking at like where you've set your registered address at to show up in the search results. So, and this page here, when you type in that keyword, it's abbreviated to SERP, but it's just a search engine results page. And I'm telling you some terminology with this, because you might hear someone saying stuff like, "Oh, we rank for X keyword, we rank for XYZ." But rank basically just means your position, that you show up for a certain keyword. So we rank 1 is a number 1 position, rank 2, rank 3. If someone just says we rank 1, we rank for this keyword, that means you show up on the first page of Google. So you might show up like position 8, they might show up at position 3, but if someone's saying we rank for so-and-so, they're on the first page. Google's main focus is providing a great user experience. So when and this, you can butt heads here with Google on this. So if you've got a blog that's given like quite useful information, Google's their MO as like a company is to get you answers to your search queries. It isn't to get people onto your website. And so if we see things like in the search engine results page, I'll go back here, you have things like these cutouts at the side, you have these drop down menus. They're things where Google's like crawled your website, taken content and like put it on the search engine results page, so people can see content on your website in some cases without even having to click through. That's more for informational content, but so it's essentially taking like your work and answering its queries, but you're not seeing any of the upside. And Google is allowed to do that, which is it doesn't really seem like that's great, but you might not miss out on much through that means. But it's always still good to show up there if you've got useful answers as well, because people can end up clicking through. And this is just another thing to be aware of. It's more of a thing in America at the minute, they're trying it. But recently blog sites have been absolutely decimated. So some companies have set up their entire lead gen system on just SEO strategy. So having a big blog that's getting leads dropping in and then eventually converting to sales, and they might be informational sites. Now Google have just with the advance of like things like AI, they've got something called the search generative API, SG, search generative engine. Sorry. So when you type in a response, it's only in America at the minute, but it's going to roll out in the UK probably like middle of next year. You get like an AI answer that answers your question like by taking loads of bits from people's websites. In March and as far as back as September last year, some companies have lost so much search traffic just because people are getting their answers from that AI answer at the top. So if they've built the business purely on SEO, organic search traffic, they're in trouble. And so they're scrambling to other sites and trying to set up some other alternative campaigns. But SEO is still a great place to get leads. It's that's more for blog informational content. If you've got, say, an e-commerce brand, they're still less affected. So it can't pull out if you're saying best shoes to buy. The SG content isn't going to show up there. It only shows up for more informational requests. So it's not the end of the world. If we think about Google's main goal of giving quality responses to search terms, there's a very specific way of how it makes sure that the results it shows are good. And so obviously you want to play into that to tick all of Google's boxes, so it's giving you more of a chance to show. And the three main factors are quality backlinks. I'll tell you talking to what they are. How often you're updating your articles? Say if you've got a website that's never getting worked on, it's going to overlook you. Because the idea there is if it's active, then it's more like up to date. And relevance and site structure. So relevance just essentially means if you're in the hair and beauty business, but you're making hair and beauty posts, then that's sound. It's going to see you as more of an authority. What some websites were doing up until recently, Google have started taking these pages down. But things like news articles, like the Telegraph and the Guardian, you can look this up and say they've had quite a lot of web pages just taken down because they've obviously got quite a strong domain name, the Guardian or the Daily Mail. If they make a blog post, just because they're getting loads of traffic to all these other pages, if they make like a post on anything, it's going to rank quite high. So they were being a bit cheeky and saying you can write a blog post or post your products on like under our domain if you pay us like a fee. And so you could get like Guardian articles for like coupons and other unrelated stuff to the news. And Google sort of spied that, saying like, oh, you're hijacking on the domain authority, this quality like website, and you're sort of licensing your URL. We're not going to allow you to do that. And they pulled it all. So they're quite high on relevance. And then site structure is if you build it on a content marketing system, the software, then it's probably fine. But sometimes if you make a if you have if a developer builds it from scratch and they write loads of messy code and Google can't properly crawl it and see what's going on, it's going to just overlook it. But then the biggest one by far is quality backlinks. And a backlink is essentially just someone else's website that links to yours.